Doctors, this is Joe Walsh from NightTradeStock.net. I'm in front of the Fabulous Film Forum over on West Houston Street, 209 West Houston Street to be specific. I'm here tonight to catch what I missed at last week's New York Film Festival. One of the only things, I think it was the only thing I missed at last week's New York Film Festival. The DCP reconstruction of Marlon Brando's One-Eyed Jacks. It's now showing over here at the Film Forum. For 1 week, unless it gets a reprieve, which they normally do here. The song is very popular. I got a feeling this one might stick around. So yeah, it was the only one that I missed at the film festival, and I'm kind of beat from attending so many movies. But you never really get tired when it's the passion of your life, it's the love of your life, and film is that. So yeah, I'm here to catch what I missed last week. Now, a little background on One-Eyed Jacks. It was the only film ever directed by Marlon Brando, and there's a reason for that. He went over budget, over schedule, drove everybody crazy, and almost destroyed his film career in the process. It took Coppola and Don Vito Corleone to really dig him out of that morass, but for the longest time he was considered a pariah because of just all the antics that he pulled in the 50s and early 60s. He drove every director crazy, he drove every producer crazy, he drove the audiences crazy. He just liked to drive people crazy. That became his thing for a while. But anyway, this was his, this actually went through a couple of directors. If I'm not mistaken, Anthony Mann was the first person on the film, and he departed pretty quickly over script disagreements with Brando, and then Stanley Kubrick famously came on board, and apparently they used to have, Calder Willingham, I believe, was the screenwriter. They used to have story conferences where Brando would enter the room in his kimono, and there would be a gong, and he would kneel on a pillow, and any time that he thought the conversation was getting too contentious, he would ring the gong, and everybody would retreat to some kind of Buddhist silence, or whatever it was. It was Marlon Brando. Listen, I've heard so many great stories about how crazy the man was. But this is the only time he ever got to direct a movie. Now, I heard about this movie. It was notorious for the longest time. It was probably the most notorious Western before Heaven's Gate. And it followed almost the same trajectory. It had a director who was out of control that nobody could shut down. It went from a very meager budget to a huge budget. It went way over schedule, and in the post-production, the editing took almost a year, if I'm not mistaken. They shot like 1 million feet of footage, or some crazy number like that, for what was supposed to be a modest Western. And then it turned out that when the critics finally saw it, they thought, why did all the time and the money get spent on this? Almost nothing happens on screen. Now, I got to see the movie in my late teens. I think it was maybe on A&E or one of the late night networks. It happened to be showing up. It happened to be coming on at like 3 in the morning, and I decided to stay up and watch it. And what I discovered was a really thoughtful Western. It was not the debacle that I was led to believe. It certainly wasn't a bad movie. As a matter of fact, I thought it was an underappreciated film. I thought the performances were deep, and there were a lot of things that the movie wasn't overtly stating that you could read in between the lines, and you could read from the tone and the substance and the subtext. I found the movie to be really, really intriguing, and I championed it for the longest time. And it's one of those films in the last 10 or 15 years, it's gotten a lot of critical reevaluation. A lot of new audiences have been discovering it, even though it's only prior existence so far. It's been a really bad public domain copies, and that's why I got to see it on A&E at 3 in the morning that time. But now, because of the efforts of the Film Foundation, Martin Scorsese Film Foundation, I think with the assist from George Lucas in this case, this is a brand new 4K DCP reconstruction of the film. Like I said, I missed it at the Walter Reed Theater, and shame on me for that, for getting a stomach virus for 24 hours. But now I get to catch it at the Film Forum, which is my favorite theater really in the city. It's one of my favorites. I mean, there's so many great ones. There's the Nighthawk, and there's the Walter Reed, and there's the brand new Metrograph over on that street. Ludlow, right off Canal. We're booming now. I mean, there's so many new venues popping up that are showing repertory cinema and art house cinema, but they're focusing on repertory cinema. We're getting to see more money invested in creating new, cleaner prints and new digital DCP restorations of a lot of these movies that we, certainly 10, 15 years ago probably wouldn't have gotten a chance to see. And now they're kind of falling into our laps. So it's up to your laziness now. If you can't drag yourself off the couch or away from the baseball game like I did tonight, then it's on you. But I'm here tonight to see the brand new restoration. I haven't seen this movie in about 20, 25 years, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if it holds up, in my opinion anyway. See if I can discover anything new now that the advance of time has worn me down, and now I understand things that I didn't when I was in my late teens. But anyway, I'm looking forward very much to getting a chance to see Marlon Brando's One-Eyed Jacks, hopefully in just as pristine a copy as it looked when it first premiered back in 1961. So once again, I'll be joining you after the screening to share my thoughts with you. I'll be uploading all of this to my brand new spanking new YouTube channel, NightTradeStock.TV, so spread the word about it, because I'll be doing this on a regular basis. I'll be taking you to the venues. If you don't live in New York City, it's kind of like, here's how you can get to vicariously live through me. my exciting life sitting in a movie theater. But well, tonight I'm going to be spending at the Film Forum, the Venerated Film Forum on West Houston Street, and I will be joining you again once the movie's done, and I'll be sharing my thoughts about you, my spoiler-free thoughts about the movie with you. So, back in about 3 hours with my wrap-up for tonight, and as always, I say, stick with me, Stalkers.